All right, so we did 8:30. We did 8:30 yesterday? Yeah, okay. Or this problem, I should say, on 8:30. And I believe we did this one on the side of your book, yeah? Because this one wasn't in your book. So this one also done. Okay, we did not do this one. This is number 2, okay? And I want you to ignore most of this information. And I'll tell you what it's for later, but you don't, it's just more math to find out something that's you can just look at it and find out. So what we are going to do is we're going to treat this problem as a regular measures of variation problem, meaning that we're going to have to find multiple things in our measures of variation. Okay, if you go back to our key concepts in pink, it says measure of variation, and it includes quartiles, first and third quartiles. It includes the interquartile range, the regular range, and then something that's not listed in there. It's actually listed on the next page, which is outliers. So when we say find the measures of variations, we're talking about that list of things in the highlighted, they're highlighted in yellow there on page 830. See them at the top? Okay, those are the measures of variation we're going to look for. So when we start this problem, the first thing is to find the median. Okay, don't have your book? Okay, you guys should be open. I don't know why it's taking so long. Open to page 831. First thing we need to do is find the median of our set of data. And to find the median, you have to put the number in order from least to greatest. Excellent. Now, you guys, they did it for you, but it's going to be hard to write on here. So I want you to rewrite these on your page. Maybe turn your book sideways or use that green space on the side and write out 23, 48, 49, 55, 57, 63, and 72. So they already put them in order for us. That was nice, and we're just making a nicer list. Yeah. All right, so numbers are listed out. We need to find the middle, the median. The median, all right? In order to find the median, you guys should know this all from last week and the week before. We're just going to start crossing off our outside numbers and moving our way to the middle, right? So let's cross off our 23 and 72. And then our next two is 48 and 63. And then we're going to cross off our 49 and 57, which leaves us with what in the middle? Yeah, so our median 55. I'm put a little m over it, so I know that's the median. What do we also call the median? It's also called the quartile 2 or second quartile. Yeah. Okay. Now that we've got that, we can split our data into two pieces. We have everything smaller than the median and everything bigger than the median. We're just going to find the median of that underlined section, or the middle number for our quartile. So let's start with the blue underline. Okay, blue underlined, we need to find the middle number, what's underlined in blue, out of 23, 48, and 49. You guys, this is super easy. There's only 3 numbers. So yeah, good. The middle one would be our quartile because we could cross off these guys. And I want you to write a little Q1. You can write it above it or below it, I don't care. But that's quartile 1, right? Quartile 2 is the median. We just leave it the median. And now we have to come up to our numbers that are above the median, underlined in green here. And we're going to do the same thing as the lower ones. And you guys, yeah, you got it. It's the number in the middle, which is easy on this one because there's only 3 numbers. So 63 is quartile 3. Okay? So when we have a problem that says, give us the measures of variation, we have the median, we have the first and third quartiles. For a basketball shot, what's another measure of variation that we need to find with this data? What else do we need to find with this data? Owen, we do not need to find the mean, but good try. So the mean The median and the mode, those are measures of center. We are on measures of variation, which means the different parts of this data set. So you were on the right track, but we're just talking about measures of variation. Brenda? Interquartile range. Very nice. Oh, that was a good try. All right, so let's go back to our data here. We need to find the interquartile range, also called the IQR. The IQR. That means we need to find the range between quartile 1 and quartile 3. How far is it between those two numbers? If I want to know the distance or the difference between those two, what kind of math problem am I going to do? Yeah, subtraction. So I'm going to take quartile 3, which is what? 63. And I'm going to take away quartile 1, which is 48. There's your math problem. Yes, it is actually in your book right there. So if you want to just shout out the answer. Yeah, it's written in your book, but yeah, it's 15. So that means our IQR is 15, the interquartile range, or the range between 1 and 3. There is another measure of variation we need. For a basketball shot, what is the other measure of variation? Michelle? We do need to find the range. Excellent. So we found the interquartile range. Now we need to find the range of all the data. All right. So we already found the distance from here to here, but I want to know the whole thing from 23 all the way to 72. We're going to do the same thing we did with the interquartile range. We're just going to do it with our biggest and smallest number. So our biggest number is 72. Let's take away our smallest number, 23. Everyone solve this problem right now on your paper. You can use a calculator if you want. That's why they're on your desk. Okay? So the range is going to be the biggest number minus the smallest number in the whole set. All right. So our range is 49. From 23 all the way to 72 is 49. Our interquartile range is the inside of the quartiles, right? Inner, inside. Quartile 1 to 3, from 48 to 63, it's 15. There's one more thing we need to look at. One more piece of measure of variation. It's not on page 830 to give you a hint. Outlier, exactly. It is an outlier. Now, let's talk about outliers after we shoot our basket here. All right. So, the outliers. Let's talk about the outliers. You guys, if you look at your problem on number, or your example on number 2, it has some math that we haven't talked about yet. It talks about taking the quartile and multiplying it by 1.5, and you guys, it's just extra math, okay? It's extra steps. The way we're going to do outliers is we're going to go ahead and just look at the data here. We're going to look at 23, 48, 49, 55, 57, 63, and 72. Do any of those numbers not really fit? Any of those numbers not really fit in our data range? Olivia, what do you think? Why? Yeah. So on example 2, they show you how to do it mathematically. We can just look at it, you guys. Just look up here. Well, actually, let's let Olivia shoot first, then we'll look up here. All right, so if we look at our numbers up here, we have 48, 49, 55, 57, 63, and 72. They're all pretty close to each other. I mean, 72 is the biggest, but it's only 9 away from 63, so it's close enough. If we look at 23 to 48, we're looking at another 25 away. That's pretty far. That's 25 numbers away. That's pretty far away. Now, this is still part of our data. We have to use it, but if there's any numbers that would kind of mess our data up because it's so different, it would be our outlier, which on this one would be 23. So the outlier here is 23. Nicely done, Olivia. All right, let's go to, I'm going to go to the number 831. It's all written for you, but I want you to write out how I write it on the board because we're going to do 2 more problems as practice, and then I'm going to let you do your homework. Why do I need to go back? I spent a long time on that. It was up there. I didn't write anything down. What last part? The outlier? I didn't write it. It was just 23. I didn't write it down. Okay? Olivia, can you explain why it was 23 for the people that weren't listening?
Because we were talking about the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, and it was all the way in the 70s, which was like 25.
Yeah. 23 was 25 spaces away from our next closest number. The rest of them were all like within 5 or 6 of each other. And then this one was 25 spaces away. It does not fit. It's the outlier. Yes. No, not during instruction time. During homework time, you can go. All right, guys. So number 3 here, I'm going to start it on a new page so I have room to write. And I want you to do this with me. Okay? Because your homework is going to look very similar. Find a space to write. Now, number 3 actually is 2 separate problems. We're only going to do one of them. Number 3 says room A and room B, and you need to compare them. That means you have to do the range, the median, quartile 1, quartile 3, the IQR, and outliers for room A, and then you have to do it all over again for room B. We're just going to do room A as practice, okay? So, out of room A, let's take our data and let's write it in order from least to greatest. So find a spot on your book, maybe in that green section on the side. 72. Oh no, 67 is the first one. 67, then 72. Is it 65? Oh, you're right. Okay. 65, 67. There's no 63. That's the other, that's room B. We're just looking at room A. 72. Looks like 78. 80. And then 84. And 92. Oh, 87. Yep. Then 92 and 100. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. 9 numbers. All right. So we have our numbers listed from least to greatest. What's the first thing we need to do after we have listed them from least to greatest, Delaney? Cross them out to find the median. Let's see what we get. Outsides first, and we're going to move our way into the middle. So second ones, then third ones, then fourth ones, and we're left with, nice. I'm going to move those out of the way. So 80 is our median. Now we can look at everything below 80 and everything above 80 to find our quartiles. So below 80, let's start over here. We need to find the middle number. So let's cross off everything that's underlined in green, starting from the outsides. And when you move your way in, you end up with 2 numbers, don't you? How do I find the middle of 67 and 72? Adrian. Excellent. You all have a calculator on your desk. Add 67 plus 72. Press equal sign and then divide it by 2. There you go. You don't have one either? You're welcome. All right, anyone get an answer? So the median, or quartile 1, is 69.5. You should have done 67 plus 72 equals divided by 2, 69.5. Yes. Yes, the median is quartile 2, but we just call it the median. Yeah, when you list your numbers under, it ends up being a little bit more difficult. Just remember that when you cross them off, you have to start at the very end. But it's okay. All right, let's take a look at the blue underlined numbers. The blue, it's going to be the same thing, you guys. We're going to have to cross off the outsides and move our way to the middle. And guess what? There's 2 of them. You got it. Add them up. Divide by 2. So on your calculator, 87 plus 92 equals, and then divide by 2. What do you get? 89.5. This is quartile 3. All right, so we have our quartiles, we have our median. We need to find our range and our interquartile range. What do you want to do first? Range or interquartile range first? Yeah? That's what somebody said. We're good with that? So interquartiles inside the quartiles. The range from number 1, quartile 1, all the way to quartile 3. And you subtract those numbers to figure that out. So we have 89.5 minus quartile 1, which is 69.5. You probably do not need a calculator for this because you remember from 5th grade, the decimal stays where it's at. 5 minus 5 is 0. 9 minus 9 is 0. 8 minus 6 is 2. 20.0, which is just 20. So if you look at your book, I'm sure you noticed that it's already there. The IQR for room A is 20. The range from quartile 1 to quartile 3 is 20. What? Yep, that's it. Subtract number 3 and number 1. Okay, now let's find the actual range of the whole data set, because it's basically the same thing, just with our biggest and smallest numbers. So what's our biggest number in this data set? 100. What's our smallest number? So now it's just 100 minus 65 to find the range of the whole set. Do 100 minus 65 right now in your book. And then you can use your calculator if you want to, but that should be pretty quick. Yeah. If you regrouped, you would have ended up with 35. So the range is 35. And the interquartile range, the IQR, is 20. So we've got our quartiles. We've got our median. We've got our interquartile range. We've got our range. Is there any number that looks like it might be an outlier? Anything that look like it might be an outlier? It doesn't quite belong there? Kyle, why do you think 100? So I know 100 looks pretty big, right? We have double-digit numbers, and all of a sudden we have a 100. But look at the number right before 100. What is it? How far away is 100 from that? Just 8, right? That's not that far. 8 away is that's not too bad, right? 8 away to 100 is that's pretty close. So although it is a 3-digit number, it's still close to our data set. And then the same thing if we look over here, 65 is our last number, but that is only 2 away from 67. So is that an outlier? So this problem has no outlier. No outlier. It did happen right there. Yes, Brady. Let's do one more problem and then you can go. Is that okay? You guys, the next problem we do is exactly like your homework. It's just different numbers. So go ahead and turn the page. Okay. We're going to do number 1 on page 832 under guided practice. Number 1 on your homework looks almost identical to this. So if you can do this one, then your homework is going to be easy for you. So here we have the average wind speeds for several cities in Pennsylvania. Okay? First thing we need to do before we fill out any of these blanks is put the numbers in order from least to greatest. I hope you remember how to do decimals from least to greatest. Start with the whole number, which would be 7, and then find the smallest decimal. So that would be 7.5. Then you're going to do 7.6, 7.7, wherever you can find room, guys. Squeeze it down below. We're not going to do number 2 on guided practice, so you can use those blue lines down on number 2 if you want. After 7.7, we have, looks like 8 and 9/10, 9, 9 and 5/10, and 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Excellent. We got all our numbers. I got them all. Okay. Find the median. Sorry. Find the median. Go. Find the median. If you crossed out your outside numbers and moved your way to the inside, you'd end up with 8.9. Please make sure you said 8.9 and not 89. 89 is a completely different number. 8.9 is your median, which means we have 3 numbers below and 3 numbers above the median. Let's look at our 3 numbers below first. Should be pretty easy. What is the middle of those 3 numbers? Yeah, you guys probably don't even need to cross them out, right? That's quartile 1. Same thing for our upper numbers underlined in green here. What's the middle? 9.5 is quartile 3. So if you look at letter B, it says find the median. We already did that. What is it? All right, 8.9 down on B. It says find the first quartile. It is 7 and 6/10. Write down 7 and 6/10. And then it says find the third quartile, which is 9 and 5/10. Write down 9 and 5/10. There we go. B is done. What does A ask for? The range. All right. I like to find the interquartile range first, but let's just do A because it's there. So let's do the regular range, which is the biggest number minus the smallest. So it's going to be 11 minus 7 and 5/10. If it makes you feel better, you can put a decimal and a 0 there. Remember, your decimals are lined up when adding and subtracting decimals. If you want to use a calculator now to solve this, you may. But 11 minus 7.5 is how much? So letter A is 3 and 5/10, or 3.5, or 3.5. The range of all the data is 3.5. Letter C, find the interquartile range. Inside the quartiles from 1 all the way to 3. What is the range? We find range the same way as we do interquartile range, which means it's going to be another subtraction problem. But this time, we're going to use our quartile numbers. So you're going to do quartile 3 minus quartile 1. You are absolutely correct. 9.5 minus 7.6. Use your calculator if you would like. You end up with 1.9. So our interquartile range from quartile 1 all the way to quartile 3 is just 1.9. Not 5, 1.9. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'll help you with that in just a second. Let's finish this last one. All right, take a look for letter D says identify any outliers. Remember, your outliers are always on the outside. Are they super high or super low? So is 7.5 really far away? Is 11 far away? No, not really. Here's what someone said in another class. They're like, well, 11's an outlier because it doesn't have a decimal. It has a decimal now. Isn't 11.0 the same as 11? Yeah, so the decimal doesn't matter. It's still close to 9.5. So the answer to letter D is none. Sound good? Let me tell you about your homework real quick, and then you can get started on it. Okay? So take a look at 833, page 833, number 1. Number 1 looks exactly like the one we just did. It says find the range, find the or the first quartile, the second quartile, the third quartile, or median, not second, but you know what I mean. Find the interquartile range and name any outliers. But look at the table there. This is where students got confused. This is one set of data, not two. So even though there's 2 boxes, they made 2 boxes side by side instead of one really long one. So there's actually 10 numbers you need to put in your list. Okay? Yes, they are in the hundreds and the thousands, so you might want to use a calculator. Make sure you put them in order first. If you cannot fit it on a page, you're welcome to take an extra piece of paper to do your work on. Just make sure it is stapled to your homework when we turn it in. You may get started on your homework. If you have any questions, now I will come help you individually.